what's going on, everybody? In this video, I want to share all of the numbers related to my 2 multifamily investment properties that I own. I'm going to discuss what I paid, how much I owe, how much I'm cash flowing, how much I'm making profit, some of the things I love, some of the things I don't love, because I've been getting a lot of questions. And I wish that I had somebody back in the day tell me about this and kind of break it down. So let's get right into the numbers. Before we get in, smash that like button, show some love, and let's just dive right into it. So I purchased my first multifamily property in, I believe it was late 2018, so 1920. Yeah, so I've owned my first property for about 3 years now, but this was a property that I purchased for $234,000. I put 25% down on this property. I believe the interest rate at the time was somewhere around like 4.5 or 5%. Big mistake, I never refinanced during the pandemic, and I'm kicking myself. That was a big mistake. And now that rates are up, it's just really not worth it with all the fees and whatnot. But at this moment, I owe $158,000 on that property since I put 25% down, and obviously I've been paying some of it off over the 3 years. But my mortgage, taxes, and insurance on that property is $1,422. I have a management company that manages both of my properties, so that's about 10% of rents each and every month, so that's $300. Some expenses that I put aside are capital expenditures for like roof, big items that are gonna go wrong. So that's $150 a month, $100 for vacancy, $150 for repairs, and $100 a month for landscaping. So that brings it down to $778 per month that I'm cash flowing on that first property. Now, when I first moved in, I actually did something called house hacking. So I moved in and I lived on one side, and I already had a tenant on the other side when I purchased the property. And I don't remember how much I was paying. I think I was coming out of pocket a couple $100 a month. But now I ended up moving out of there a couple of years ago. And now I have 2 tenants in there. And over time, I've improved it. I put a little bit of money, probably about $6,000 into the property to improve the kitchen, the bathroom, just made it a little bit nicer. And when I first took over the property, the rents were only about $1,000 on both sides. Obviously, when I moved in, the other person left. But now I've gotten rents up to $3,000. So it's $1,500 on both sides. And so that comes to $3,000, and it's really great. And one of the things that I love about real estate, and I'm gonna get more into the numbers and whatnot, is I love the 4 things that you're able to benefit from with real estate. Number 1, cash flow. So after you minus all your expenses, mortgage, taxes, insurance, any fees with the town, landscaping, with my property, I'm happy it's a side-by-side house. So in the contract, they actually do their own driveway during the winter time, which is great because they don't share it. Obviously, we pay about $100 a month for landscaping, maybe a little more sometimes. But after all the expenses, I'm able to make about $778. That's with CapEx, repairs, and vacancy rates, which most people don't account for, so they make a lot less than they think. If I wasn't counting that, then I guess I could say I'm doing over $1,000 a month on this one property. But realistically, things are gonna go wrong. The roof's gonna have to get done in 17 years, the water heaters, siding. Just recently in one of the properties we had a leak, so that was like $400. I mean, I've had multiple little issues that have come up for $300, $500, $200. So you want to put money aside every month for those repairs or for the bigger capital expenditures, and even for vacancy rates. When someone moves out, typically there'll be a month where, you have to find somebody, and that's money that's coming out of your pocket. But cash flow, tax benefits, there's a lot of tax benefits to owning real estate. Equity pay down. Now what that means is the house is worth, for example, the house I purchased was $234,000. Now it's worth around $300,000 versus how much I owe on the mortgage. So I owe $158,000 on the mortgage, and it's worth $300,000. So let's just say I have about $140,000 in equity. And the great thing is that mortgage is getting paid down every single month by my tenants. So that's the powerful thing about this. Eventually, the goal is to have your tenants pay it off, and then in about, because I'm paying a little extra on principal as well, in about 13 years, the house is going to be paid off, which means it'll be 100% cash flow minus obviously repairs, vacancy, CapEx, taxes, insurance, and all of that, which is great. And that's why I invested in real estate, because as a reseller, someone who's self-employed, I'm not relying on Social Security. I'm not going to have, anybody paying me or a pension or anything like that. So you really got to take things into your own hands. And last but not least, appreciation. That's another benefit of owning real estate. Now, right now, prices are through the roof. Interest rates are starting to rise. Values of the properties will probably start to come down. Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. But over time, over 10, 15, 20, 30 years, properties always increase in value, and the population is growing. And, there's just no way the property values aren't going to go up over time. But in the next 5, 10 years, it could drop 30%. You never know. But long term, it's that appreciation. So that's property number one. Again, it's cash flowing about $778, and I broke down all the fees. Now let's get into the second property that I purchased. I purchased this one about 2.5 years ago. So this one's actually a couple doors down from the original one that I purchased in the same town, same area, which is great. And this property is a little bit nicer. It's got a bigger garage. It's got a nicer backyard. There's a nice shed in the backyard. It's just a little more updated. The funny thing about this property is it's almost the same, but I'm getting less rent because of the tenant situation. And sometimes when you have tenants that are already in there, you can't raise the rates as much versus if they leave and someone new comes up, you could bring it up to the market without offending them. I don't really like to raise the rent more than like 25 or 50 bucks at a time because again, it could really impact their lives, and you want to slowly and steadily move it up to market rate. But sometimes it's tough if you inherit a house or you buy a house and they're at 1,000 to get it up to 1,500. It's really tough. I don't have the heart to just smack them with that right up front, but to each their own. But anyways, this next property, I ended up paying $255,000 for it. And I'm looking at my notes right now. I owe $173,000 on that property. So I put 25% down on that. If I go back in time, knowing what I know now, I probably would have used my FHA. Whatever. Long story short, if you have the ability to use the FHA, you probably want to use that to preserve cash. So I didn't do things the smartest way possible, but on that property, it's bringing in $2,800 in rent. So hopefully we have one of the tenants that are going to be leaving soon. And once they come in, hopefully I'm going to be able to get the rent up to market value and, hopefully get that up to about $3,000 a month as well. To break down the expenses on that property, I owe $173,000 on that property. Mortgage, taxes, and insurance is $1,599. My management fee is $280. Capital expenditures I've got down as $150, repairs $150, vacancy $100, and then landscaping $100. So the way it works with like the capital expenditures, repairs, and vacancy is I just have an account where I pull that money out from that specific account and I move it into another account. It's like a savings account essentially for that property. So my goal is in the future, if I have a $5,000 to $7,000 roof issue or something that goes wrong, I have that kind of that nest egg there. So I don't feel like it's really, I'm having to pull it out of my personal or my business account. So that's definitely something smart to do. But breaking down the numbers after I minus off my mortgage, taxes, and insurance, all the expenses, it comes out to about $400 a month cash flow on that property. Now you might be thinking, that's not a lot for the entire property to only make $400. But keep in mind, I am going to raise the rent up to market once one of those tenants leaves. So that should be up to about $600 a month in cash flow, which is money that I could actually put in my pocket or pay towards principal, whatever it is I want to do. Everybody's goal is different, but remember, there's other benefits as well. Not only the cash flow, but there's tax benefits to offset some of your tax liability. There's equity pay down. So again, I'm building my equity because my tenants are paying down the principal. Now, when you first get a property and you have a 30-year loan, there's something called an amortization schedule, which essentially is like a schedule of how the principal and the interest is going to be paid off in a schedule. And how it works is, so when you have a new loan, you're mostly paying interest. So you're not chopping away at that principal. So you're not really building equity as fast as you possibly can. That's why I always recommend even putting an extra 50 or 100 bucks towards your principal can knock 3, 4, 5 years off your mortgage just by paying off a little bit of additional principal. There's different schools of theory for how to do this, and if you want to be the most highly leveraged, then it's probably not smart to do that with your money. But for me, I have more of a conservative investing plan, and I really want to have properties that are paid off. I'm not really huge into refinancing and leveraging my money as high as possible to get into the next property, which You know, I know Graham Stephan and a lot of people are big into that, but for me, that's my methodology. But again, there's cash flow, tax benefits, equity paid out, and then that, you know, the hope of long-term appreciation. Again, I'm not counting my eggs or anything like that. But yeah, those are my 2 properties. So property number 1, I owe $158,000 on it. It's cash flowing about $778 after all expenses, CapEx, repairs, landscaping. And then my second property, I owe $173,000 on that, and that's cash flowing about $400. I hope to get that up $600. And again, I love investing in real estate because it's helping me to build my net worth each and every month. I'm building equity, which is leading towards my increased net worth. I'm cash flowing, right? I'm gaining the benefits of you know, depreciation and some tax benefits. Again, talk to a tax professional. And of course, I'm benefiting from appreciation, which again, it's great. It's helping to increase my net worth. Who knows what's going to happen over the next 2 to 5 to 8 years. You know, this world's going crazy. So, you know, that's just one of those, like, it's like a cherry on top, right? The appreciation. And my properties have appreciated a lot. The first one that I paid $234,000, that's probably would sell for around $300,000 right now based on my numbers. And comparable sales in my second property that I paid $255,000 for, it's probably worth around the same, maybe $300, $310, somewhere in that range. So those are my results so far. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and my breakdown of my numbers and how it works. I definitely recommend getting a management company. I happily pay the 10% because they interact with all the tenants. They show the house, they collect the rent, they take the phone calls, they work with the landscaping company, any repairs, any issues, they communicate. They have a staff, a team that they work with, staff that does repairs and different things. And it's just great. You know, I love it. For me, I'm really busy. I have multiple businesses, so I don't really want to be super involved in that. Yeah, I could be increasing my cash flow even more, but for me, I have different goals, different passions, different businesses, and yeah, I love it. It's been great. Make sure before you hire a management company or you get a new tenant in that you research, do your diligence, because if you get a bad management company or a bad tenant, you're done. That's why you hear a lot of landlord issues. It's because of one of two of those things. It's like they have a bad management company or they get a bad tenant. So do your research, run your credit reports, do your background checks. But with that being said, much love. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.